Blessings, everyone. It's time for another combined incoming wave and new light astrology, where we talk about the primary astrological influences of this week, or in this case, the next 2 weeks, because we're talking about a full moon as well, and the energies that are integrating into this reality experience that stay in play and evolve as we continue through this shift in consciousness. I think I'm actually just going to keep this video, or these videos rather, combined. It's just starting to feel right, make sense, and so this is how I'm stepping into 2021. If I seem a little tired, it's because I'm coming back from my break, and it has been a wild weekend, energetically speaking. And so, for all of that, if I don't seem super perky and energized, I mean, it's not healthy to take that personally, but please don't take it personally. Also, just a quick reminder, if you want to sit in with me as I present my findings for these things live, you can always do that on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time, US and Canada, on my Patreon. It's a $5 minimum pledge per month to have access to the lives, as well as discounts, and we go long on those lives. We usually go about an hour, sometimes a little bit more. Also have time for Q&As, doing troubleshooting. Sometimes we'll do energy exercises, and so if you're interested in checking that out, again, you can go on ahead to my Patreon by following the links down below, and replays are always available for patrons as well. So even if you can't make it to the live itself, it stays up and available for you to watch. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. I want to talk about the wave first, and then we'll get into the astrology, because the way that this reading kind of showed, it was showing the main events, and then the astrology was giving us kind of clarity as to how it starts to land, what the first movements of that piece are, and how we actually settle in and acclimate into the harmonics, and what we might want to consider taking, certain actions with accordingly. So with the cards that we're using to articulate this, we got the Four of Pentacles, the Two of Cups, and the Nine of Pentacles. Quick reminder, these incoming waves, remember, we're not doing a weekly spread. This is what's coming in and integrating. We will refer to old waves every once in a while as they evolve and transmute. We've been doing that all year. But this is what I got here down in my notes. If you see me looking down, it's because I take my notes with pen and paper. Let's talk about the Two of Cups. This was the one that really set the tone for how we not only step out of the 2020 energy, or the 2020 energy forms, but how we actually wrap up a lot of the, let's just say, the spiritual dramas that have been going on for, many, many years, especially when we talk about many dead timelines and timelines that have recently been completely cleared and dissolved. We are actually on, just for catch up, we actually did already anchor and integrate into the highest organic conscious evolution mass awakening timeline as of the end of September 2020. So, all other timelines and things like that are gone. We're just kind of, clearing out the detritus of that right now. But with the Two of Cups, we see this unity wave dissolving veils and barriers for both incarnate and non-physical soul connections, both for soul family, oversoul collectives, and non-soul family allies. When we say non-soul family allies, what presented here was the opportunity to finally connect and have the relationships, even with non-soul family individuals, that would have actually occurred in their pure organic state on, again, the highest through line, your soul's original agreement for incarnating in the first place. And there's also going to be clarity for how a lot of different relationships, friendships, family relationships, what those purposes for coming into our lives are, what those connections are, what the natural state of the way we relate is supposed to be. And the veils and barriers clearing is actually very important here because, and yeah, we are going to talk about it, there had been a lot of interference with a great deal of souls going through a pure, true, organic ascension process. A lot of connections, whether it be between soul family or between allied, you can say Oversoul family groups, were obscured, were blocked. And for a lot of folks out there who might be thinking like we're just talking about big conspiracy, overlord stuff, no, here's the thing. Sometimes this, actually in a lot of cases, this occurred even, just bringing it on home in small communities, right? When we talk about lower energy forms, lower control patterns, family scripts, family conditioning, yes, even when it comes to certain types of people, certain levels of consciousness existing in certain families and groups and things like that, it's not all like the big bad stuff. We're also talking about plebe tier kind of stuff. It did create a lot of interference. It did create a lot of distortion. And now with all of these veils and barriers lifting and clearing, it's kind of like everyone finally gets to have the relationships, the connections, the meetings, the lessons, all of that they were supposed to have. That was a part of the original soul's agreement. In fact, a lot of compartmentalizing, obscuring, and otherwise containing fields are totally quashed and neutralized because of this. And you can kind of feel a lot of that now because this last 72 hours, like right from Christmas until now, had carried a lot of that dense, toxic, fear-based kind of containment field, right? That sort of, hold on, no change, no this, no growth, no evolution, no expansion. And it was kind of rising up as to be cleared, and maybe for one last jump, so to speak, kind of like at the end of a movie, or like at the end of the Lord of the Rings in the book, after the ring is destroyed, Gandalf and everyone sees the hand of Sauron, and then it just kind of wisps away. That kind of happened. I mean, I actually felt and saw that happening. Not like in the book, but the other night in vision. There's this quashing and neutralizing of a lot of the controls that pulled people off or kept people from being able to see, embody, and actually have all of those connections and relationships. And the interesting thing about this is that with the Four of Pentacles, moving on, we've actually got clarity and revelation of entrapping or otherwise obstructive energy forms and beings, both physically incarnate and not incarnate. And that's actually going to be universal across the board. So a lot of people are waking up to the influences that are going on when it comes to the energetic output or the conscious obstruction or the projection of hostile or unstable or containing or oppressive willpower going on within, again, their own spaces, their own homes, their own communities, their own families, not in the interest of creating a histrionic, belligerent mess. Again, if you are awake and out of bed and doing more than just watching the Ascension online hoping it'll scoop you up, you understand that getting into that mentality is absolutely just, putting you in a position where you are serving more of that than actually getting away from it. We actually see the detritus of that clinging and draining influence, those dead timelines and energy waste forms, being revealed for what they are. And you might want to, of course, approach this with a bit of objective divine neutrality, because sometimes we see these things, it's not what we thought it was, or it's not the usual suspect, or it might be something that, it's just there to show us what to clear, what to release, what to detach from, what to shift away from. It's not encouraging, grab the sword and go slay the demon. That's not what this is about, all right? This is about knowing where to make the healthiest, highest choices and also release yourself from anything that might be trying to hold on to a dead timeline, or maybe try to refresh or reverberate or hold on to a containment field, a containment script, right? A social script, or trying to lock something in a static routine or a static existence. This is the clearing and the revelation for where that's coming from. And again, it's going to be a very bring it on home kind of thing, right? A lot of people were so focused on what was going on the external, they weren't even taking responsibility for the toxicity and dysfunction of what was going on in their own space. This bring it on home energy of the Grand Conjunction, well, yeah, now it's something that you can't ignore. We also have, however, with the Nine of Pentacles, we have the clarity of path, divine self, and recovery, of energy, resources, and opportunities, amplifying. And we've been going through this recovery process all year. Yes, it doesn't feel like it. It's been pretty nuts. And a lot of people ended up finding that a lot of I guess you could say the Matrix kingdoms that they were building for themselves are collapsing and getting challenged. But at the same time, we had this opportunity this whole time to go within, connect with that extra time, with that extra energy, clear out a lot of, again, the waste forms or the thought form waste products that were also flying around, right, in this shift that were coming up to be cleared. And now this amplification of that and the husks of the lower self, the husks of the lower reality are cleared, transmuted, and or otherwise purged, whatever's in the highest interest of all concerned, allowing us to actually step into a place of a new type of abundance when it comes to all areas of our life. New abundance, new fecundity, all of this shifting for us to make a great leap, a great step into not only a higher level of embodiment of our divine selves, but also a complete departure from, again, the husk of the lower 340 consciousness, and let it go, right? It's just a husk. It doesn't have any natural fuel anymore. You might even notice a lot of old spiritual techniques, old earthbound magics, so to speak, even things that you might have learned from certain mystery schools that were also possibly used, yes, to control, don't work anymore. You know, a lot of those egregores are not being supported by the new light that is coming through, and so they're shutting down. No more updates, obsolescence, neutralization. And as that recovery process happens, you're going to see a lot of that shift. You're going to have to learn how to use your own energy bodies again as they unify and transform into something bigger, brighter, and again, more abundant to work with. So what's going on when it comes to your astrology and what's going on with the astrology of this week? Now, the energy of the cards there that we were talking about, the cards were articulating what's coming in and staying. Okay, so remember the cards, that's going to be, that's starting, well, it started actually last week. It started about Christmas, but I was on break. It started, and it's only going to amplify and get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger until until it shifts or amplifies at the end of January into something else. Something's going to be added to it, I'm shown. We also have, with the full moon in Cancer, the next 2 weeks opening up the higher heart centers for even the unawakened collective. When we talk about folks that are not even in their own spiritual practice, they're not actually maybe conscious of what is going on a multidimensional level, this full moon in Cancer is beginning that shift into a mass awareness, mass awakening. For the awakened collective, this is actually expanding the amount of energy, the amount of light that we can actually hold at any given time. It's sort of increasing the size of our light quotient and bringing the entire collective into a space for an opportunity to experience true heart coherence, right? All of the energy bodies that we are, that we have are unifying. That means layers of the aura unifying, layers of the subtle bodies starting to work and embody that higher light in a way that is much more experiential, much more palpable. We've also got the chakras operating as a unified expression, right? No longer these sort of windows into a lower reality experience for the soul, unifying because those veils, those barriers, and that density is gone. And yes, I do think that because we have this full moon in Cancer, this might create some, some stir-ups emotionally, behaviorally, psychologically, especially when you've got on one side, this clarity that really throws off a person's perception of reality. On the other side, this clarity of, oh my goodness, everyone's waking up. This is going to create a bit of stirs over the next 2 weeks. Stay in your power, stay in your own light, right? Connect to your higher self through the heart. Continue to do your own work. This is going to be a wake-up call or a get-up call, especially when it comes to those who, again, might be obsessive or distracted or addicted to certain minutia in the collective awakening process that is actually retarding their growth in their own conscious evolution process, right? And we've been talking a bit about, all year I've been saying, don't get addicted to what's going on in the news or what's going on the internet. This whole month we've been talking about, turn off your Wi-Fi at night. I've been, leaving my phone in the office, just not giving myself the opportunity to get sucked in, have any of those EMFs, interfere with my own connection, with, my own spiritual work, making sure I'm not tempted to get pulled in to any of the little programs going on. And again, when I talk about programs, this is not just mainstream media. There are plenty of, again, plebe tier energy forms and agendas that are going on in what you might consider grassroots or disclosure communities and things like that as well. So, everything is kind of going through its last gasp of, guerrilla attempts to get energy because, again, that those sources are gone. So make sure that you yourself are just stepping into your own power, focusing on your own pure and true organic awakening process. You don't need to, again, feed any of that anymore. As we get on to the other two aspects, it's kind of a double aspect. We've got Venus in Sagittarius, so that aspect of the divine ascended feminine in the sign of multidimensional intelligence, divine intelligence, square to Neptune in Pisces, and opposite the North Node in Gemini. So we've got Venus square Neptune, which is helping, it is assisting to face illusions, face delusions, face false ideals or implanted ideals. What we think is what is best for us, or what we think we want, right, out of life, what we think we want in terms of maybe what we deem aspirational. Also, however, facing temptations when it comes to things like dependency, when it comes to addiction, when it comes to things we become fixated or obsessed with. The emotional bodies are going through a very big jazzing up during this period because, again, a lot of those old scripts, a lot of those old behavioral issues need to be cleared. You can't walk that into embodiment of your higher self. With Venus square to Neptune, there's going to be this opportunity throughout this week to kind of see, all right, this is that true divine abundance, love, knowledge, wisdom, and light intelligence that I am evolving into. And here is the distraction, here is the lower addiction, here is the fixation, here is the complacent but maybe stimulating opportunity to just sort of check out, get high, get lost, get drained. You're going to be seeing these things for what they really are, but it's going to be an interesting challenge for some folks because there may be some stories that kind of nobilize that kind of dysfunction or excuse or elevate that kind of self-torment, self-containment, let's just say self-containment. Ran out of synonyms. And this is where the opportunity to have a breakthrough is also going to come, but you've got to go through that. You've got to face those illusions as they come up. Really getting a chance to make a choice consciously. We also have Venus opposite the North Node in Gemini. So the North Node, as I've said before, it's our biggest challenges, it's our biggest rewards, right? It's the mountain we climb, it is the quest we take that has the highest level of experience and the highest item level gear. And the South Node, which is always opposite the North Node, so Venus is conjunct the South Node, it's kind of our crutch. It's kind of that safety blanket, okay? And with Venus opposite the North Node, we also have this chance to see where maybe certain areas of life we have been either taking it too easy, content with passing with a D minus, or maybe slumming it a little bit, or even facing some of our own trash. Right, this whole week is about clearing and dissolving and purging and disintegrating detritus of the lower self and of the old reality and of these old dead timelines that are, again, just kind of scattered on the road now. This Venus opposite North Node goes, okay, now we got to face, where do we have that trash and how do we stop trashing? When I say trashing, I don't mean like talking crap or anything like that, but facing where maybe, due to certain bits of conditioning, mental or behavioral programs or situations there, if a situation seems too high vibe, it seems to be too functional, it seems to be uncomfortable because of that level of light, there's a temptation to trash it, right? Hey, I brought in this trash from my last thing. It's still in some of my baggage here. Let me just paint it into the floor and the wall. Let me just, we need to trash this up a little bit so I can feel comfortable. I need to trash this up a little bit so the ego or the lower self feels more at home. We need to bring some dysfunction in here because my mental levels have not caught up to the light that's coming through. We have to face all of that within ourselves. And again, a lot of stuff that's been going on, especially in the New Age communities, it's not really served to actually confront this. So this may be tough, even in certain spiritual communities, but it is a beautiful opportunity to actually clear it for good. So that's what I've got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because I appreciate it. And should you ever want to get a session with me, go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.